All right, it's another edition of the Edgington Post Show. Today I have with me Melvin Marsh. And Melvin, you're a hypnotherapist, is that right?
That is correct.
Now, you and I met on Simbi, that's SIMBI.com, and you did an ad campaign with Free Talk Live for some Simbi credits or whatever they call them. And
Simbies.
What's that? It's Simbi, yeah, that's what
Simbies.
Yeah, the Simbies. And I was just sort of impressed with your professionalism and that kind of thing. Now, I've heard about hypnotherapy in the past, but I can't say I know a lot about it. I've heard that you can sort of quit smoking using it, and that's about all I know.
Well, that's a very common one for hypnotherapy. It's one of our the thing that people know the most. That and weight loss. We also can do anxiety, which we have an even higher success rate for. But hypnotherapy, basically, I take you or whoever, and I try to get them into a very relaxed state. During this altered state, which is kind of like that feeling right before you fall asleep, that super relaxed feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves that feeling.
It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. Oh, trust me. That's why we have hypno junkies, because they're addicted to that feeling. I am totally a hypno junkie as well. But that's the exact thing. You can actually on an EEG watch somebody go into trance state as well as watch somebody go into that right before they go to sleep. It's basically identical.
What's the significance? What's the special attribute of that state?
In that state, you are much more suggestible. The conscious mind is not really paying nearly as much attention. What we're doing is we're taking that conscious mind and we're just asking it to go out on a coffee break, or whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you're smoking, you could say the conscious mind's going out on a smoke break. But while we're dealing with that, while we get that conscious mind out, that allows us much easier access to the subconscious. If without that conscious mind trying to filter everything, I can go in, help the subconscious mind make some changes, such as if you want to quit smoking, I can help you, either depending on what is motivating you to quit smoking, or why do you want to quit. You have in my world, scale of 1 to 10, you have to be at least a 7.
To really, you have to want it in order for you to be
do.
successful. Yeah.
And the more you want it, the more successful it's going to be.
Okay.
I can't force anybody to do, something they don't want to do. Everyone says, "Oh, are you going to make me bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken?"
I've seen those shows at the fair and stuff, and you wonder whether those people are just, part of the act or what they are. I don't know. They seem very convincing.
Well, if they are basically choosing to do that.
Yeah.
The thing is that I can ask you to bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken.
Sure.
The odds are, for the average person, they're not going to do it.
Okay.
You are not going to do anything in a trance that you won't do when drunk.
Well, I guess that cuts me out. I'll bark like a dog and cluck like a chicken every time I'm drunk. Go ahead.
Okay, well, there you go. So you're more likely to go up on stage than I am. In my case, I'm very much a tired drunk. I get very nice, and I'm still not going to bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. I'm just going to kind of mellow out and just people watch. Which, in all fairness, that's exactly what I do in trance too. It's like, mellow, go to sleep, boing, and now just watching off.
Mm-hmm. So,
but
now, you were saying cigarettes, quitting cigarettes and weight loss and anxiety. Are these the things that you deal with most?
Yeah, actually, anxiety is probably my number one.
Okay.
Stop smoking tends to be very popular as well. I do a lot of work with actually medical hypnosis, usually in things that relate to some type of stress condition. Like I've been doing some work with IBS from a client actually that I got off Simbi, and I do my best to make them much more relaxed, and then watch whatever their issue is start to go away. Once we've actually no matter what they have, usually there is a stress component. So once we know that what's left after the stress has reduced, then I can go in and fix the rest of the things. Like if somebody is more likely to pick up that cigarette when they're stressed out, my first step is to teach them how to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And you can usually see a reduction just from that, just from me teaching them how to relax. Watch them, next time, maybe instead of a pack a day, they're on 3 a day. Very frequently, this is not a one and done situation.
Yeah, how many and done are we talking about?
It varies depending on the person, how much they smoke, and if they also do their homework. For several people, I've given a CD to, or well, not CD. I'm not that old.
Right.
Nobody uses that anymore. But an MP3, and we already knew that some of them were very suggestible because some of them had quit smoking in the past and stayed off cigarettes for a number of years. And then for whatever reasons, for something happened, like a stressor popped up, and they started up again. I put the most recent guy back on the couch, already knowing that. Gave him an MP3. This has been a few weeks. He hasn't picked it up again. And this is that's just my most recent smoking person. Another person, she was already trying to quit, or she wanted to. One session, she was done.
Wow.
I have a smoking cessation package on my website.
The website is?
AfterHoursHypnotherapy.com.
Okay.
And
so go ahead. You finish up what you're saying. I've got more questions, though. I got lots of questions.
That's fine. You can have all the questions you want. I've got time. I usually make the assumption it's going to take 2 or 3. Some people are one and done. Some people are 6. I have a smoking cessation package on up that's that basically is making an assumption it's going to probably be 3, which is how I base the pricing. However, if you're one and done, great. If you need more than that set price, you pay it once, and I'm giving you up to 2 months of free follow-ups if necessary. I don't really expect most people to use those free follow-ups because nobody has needed them in the past. But you do it, and if needed, I never want to run up a bill. I want people to know roughly how much they're going to cost. That's kind of one of my things.
Yeah, sure. It's nice.
It's nice. If they want to come back later and do something else, that's great.
There's all kinds of things they could work on.
Yeah, I mean, if they choose not to do the package and simply want to do it session by session, they're going to run up their own amount. Then and there's only so much I can do about that.
Yeah.
They chose not to do the offer. Like there are other offers on my website for package discounts. If you buy 3 at once, you're going to get like $50 off. I go I think it's like 3, 6, and 10. You can do a lot of stuff off in that many things, but you pay once, and then you don't have to worry again.
Yeah. People can go check it out at afterhourshypnotherapy.com. Now, we were talking about weight loss, and that's got to be a little trickier, right? So when you're smoking, you don't know when you're overeating. There's a point to which you're eating, and then there's a point to which you're overeating, right? And
that is true. Oh yes.
So that's got to be tricky. America's fat, right? I mean, is it solution hypnotherapy?
I've tried my best to find the root of the problem first.
Okay.
And
food tastes good.
Food tastes good. Oh, I know. Trust me. No, trust me. I have a friend of mine who constantly comes in and we're eating stuff, and she says, "And this is why we're fat." And it's just random stuff that she says. But and weight loss is considered one of the hardest ones to work on because you don't need the cigarette. You need to eat.
Yeah.
At some point. But I first go in. And for example, the first session, I might do with partially relaxation, because most people eat, when they're stressed out. And I also will do usually in the first session, but so it's both. I also will try to put in suggestions to at least eat healthier food. So, you're going to be paying much more attention to things like, okay, maybe you're going to eat more vegetables. You eat more vegetables, you're going to have more fiber. You're probably not going to have nearly as much room for that chocolate.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's at least a start. I can later go in and do fine tuning. I can go in and say, okay, I really hate doing aversion therapy. I really, really hate it. But I could do that and make you really, really hate that chocolate bar. I don't like doing that, quite frankly, because I like chocolate. And
yeah.
if a hypnotherapist went in and did that to me, I'd be the person to force myself to eat through the chocolate until the suggestion left.
Yeah, I can see that aversion therapy would be sort of the nuclear option. You leave that for the end.
Yes, that is I have a client who was abused. The last time I had with her, we used some aversion therapy on her to try to get herself out of a certain situation.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I'm hoping it worked. I don't know. We're gonna find out
at some point.
Oh, we're gonna find. Yeah, she just canceled her appointment on Friday. I was like, okay, well, you can set a new appointment with me. You'll tell me then.
Now, what about other? So we've talked about some big things, right? Like anxiety, overeating, and smoking. If you could solve those three problems in the world, you would be a miracle worker. And I presume you've had some level of success. What other areas do you work within in order to help people? I mean, what do they ask for?
Another very common one that I get, because since I'm also an EMT and have a medical license, to some extent, I don't feel nearly as bad working on pain management. I actually really like that. That's one of my personal favorite things to work on. So people hurt.
Yeah.
But I can go in and I can start reducing the pain, whether it's acute or chronic. Just give me a clue as to what it is, and I can start working on that. I go in and I do hypnobirthing, which is helping the pregnant woman get through labor without medication.
My wife did that, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter was born that way too. Actually, I'm a female-to-male transsexual. I gave birth to her that way, having not been trained in hypnosis yet. Neither did anybody else. I can get people through a root canal.
Without meds?
Without meds.
Man, I'd like to see a documentary on that.
Okay, well, I tell you, I actually was not given meds during my root canal.
Wow. Okay.
That was not by choice. That was a dentist who who basically wanted to play let's abuse the little Jew.
That wasn't by choice. Okay.
Yeah, the little white Jew. So he did not like me for various reasons. He could have also hated the trans thing. Who knows? I think it was more the Jew thing.
But no meds.
He wouldn't see anything.
Okay.
So I could still feel anything, and I started to freak out because I was like, okay, now I know how to turn off my arms. I know how to turn off below the waist. Can I turn off? Find out which nerve is working where he's about to work. And I just started basically just trying partially calmly, but there was definitely a feeling of pressure. Okay, is this it? No. Is this it? No. Is this it? Wait a second, we might be getting closer. And then I actually said, yep, I think I got it. And I turned it off. So he worked on me without anesthesia.
It's a fantastic story. Now,
he actually thought I was asleep. So
what? So when you were talking about being an EMT, it sort of brought up something for me. And I don't usually ask personal questions in interviews, but nonetheless, this it's a question I have now. So being a firefighter, I've had traumatic experiences. I've seen things that I can't unsee, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, everybody, wear your friggin' seatbelt. But
yes, agree.
Nonetheless, I've seen all this
and
stuff.
Don't text while driving either.
Yeah, texting while driving, right? And not wearing a seatbelt. Do everybody a favor and just die, because it's going to be really difficult to deal with you alive. But so I've seen this stuff, and I tend to have, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, and I can't get back to sleep because I've seen this stuff. Can you deal with, and I'm sure, and I know everybody has traumatic experiences. Mine aren't special. They're just mine. Can you deal with traumatic experiences in that way?
Oh, yes. I actually have a certification in trauma recovery and have had a lot of success with post-traumatic stress patients. I had one gentleman who I was working with. I was, brought in by, some of his friends because they were really worried about him. He was 80-something years old, still having flashbacks to Korea regularly, like several nightmares a night, flashbacks almost every day, like in the middle of this, like independent living retirement home thing.
Yeah.
And I was said, okay, I was warned. I was like, this is what you're getting into. I said, okay. So, after our intake, he already felt a little bit better. Just us talking. I hadn't even hypnotized him yet. The next time I actually did a full, session. The next time after that, I come in and say, okay, so I have a question. How have your nightmares been? How many have you had in the past 2 weeks? And he's like, not many. Okay, is not many 1, 2? Maybe it's only once a day? He's like, maybe I think about 2. Okay.
That's a victory.
And I asked, his because he was in an independent living. Okay, so how many flashbacks? And I asked this to several other people. About how many flashbacks has he had in the past 2 weeks? And they thought, and he's like, only about like 1. And he came out of it pretty quickly. I was like, I will take that as a success.
Yeah, that's a success. Okay, one last thing. I do have to wrap this up. What about sort of, there's these hard driving folks out there that want to do better in business. They want to be productive. They want to, be a better human. They want to climb that mountain or run that mega marathon or whatever it is. I think it's called mega marathon. Anyway, those 100-mile races, they want to do whatever, they want to achieve something. Can you help with achievement?
Absolutely. Depending on what they want to do, I already have I'm a sports improvement hypnotherapist as well. Huh. So, yeah, I live in the heart of Augusta, Georgia, which is basically Gulf Central.
Yeah. And,
Tiger Woods, he's been performing self-hypnosis for years. So he everybody around here knows that it can at least be used for golf. But I do that for, football, soccer, not nearly as much with soccer, but, baseball, help to do that, help the runners get through and get to the end of that finish line. I also do work with businesses. I help teach people how to increase rapport with their clients, which makes them close more sales. I can really, in general, improve general motivation. That's also considered one of the most common things used for hypnotherapy. I don't get it very frequently, but that's another one that my colleagues and classmates, they always try to stress that one because everybody wants that.
Interesting. Well, thanks so much for this interview, Melvin Marsh. If folks would just go over to afterhourshypnotherapy.com, they can check out the rates, see whether improvement and bettering your life is worth, the rates that are over there, because there's not much better than having a better life. So, Melvin, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Afterhourshypnotherapy.com.